Yo, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
Mate, you look brilliant. You look like $1,000,000.
I like to think so myself. I like to think so.
You look great. You look great. How are you? You well?
Yeah, I've been cool. I see you. I see yourself. You've been busy in the boxing scene. You've been interviewing people. You've been going around. You've been doing these lives every other evening. So yeah,
I know.
credit to you for
I'm
keeping
not.
up with it.
Thanks, man. I'm not messing around. I'm not messing around. Listen, thank you so much for coming on. For those that do not know this guy, he is a legend in South London, in the South London gyms. This is Rakeem Noble, a 14-fight professional, 12 wins, 2 losses, a superb fluid technician. I think he was a very underrated fighter, and you really, put on a good show for the fans always. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your actual boxing career, and then just a little bit about what you're up to now, really, because you've got an interesting story.
Well, about my story. So of course, went through the route started amateur boxing in about 2007. Was competing in the amateurs for about 6 or so years. And that's when I came to Miguel's. So in 2013, I came to Miguel's.
Yeah.
That's when I started training professionally. So of course, there's like Isaac Chamberlain there, Dominic Akinade, Richard Riakpo, John Harding, Chris Congo.
Oh,
so around the time that they was all there, that's when we was all training there together at the same time. For about 2 or 3 years.
You were from Rose Hill, Box Rec tells me. Rose Hill, Surrey, it says.
That's always been wrong. No, I don't live in Rose Hill. I don't live in Sutton. No, that's my amateur club was Rose Hill. My amateur club was in Sutton, Rose Hill.
Oh, I know that club, yeah. It's got a small ring, isn't it? It's got a tiny small ring, that club, isn't it? Yeah, like a small ring, isn't it, that club?
No, before we got a bigger one. Maybe you went to it back before at the old club, but in the new club, the ring was fairly a decent size. Is that the Sutton Arena? Sutton Arena. The Sutton Sports
I think it's called Rose Hill. So basically, Box Rec is telling us lies. You're not from Rose Hill. I was thinking, that's...
Box Hill, I don't know why Box Rec got it wrong, but my amateur club was called Rose Hill.
Yeah.
My amateur club was called Rose Hill, but I've always lived in Croydon back then. And then when I came to Miguel's...
We need to have a word with Box Rec then, didn't we, really?
Do you know?
We should send an email in to them.
I was never that bothered to pull up and correct it with them. Every time they would say from Rose Hill, I was like, who got this information?
Yeah, they've done you dirty there, though.
It's what it is, unfortunately. But so I went as an amateur boxer, I was in Rose Hill. And then when I went professional, I went to Miguel's in Brixton.
Yeah.
I've been there since.
You've been there since, yeah. I mean, that you just named an absolute rich assortment of quality fighters just now. Like Chamberlain. I mean, there was Iffy Porter. There was some of the names you mentioned there. Dylan White. They had Dogbo was down there.
Yeah, Dogbo, React Pork, Congo. Yeah,
Congo. Oh God, Freezy, who's obviously kicked on now. There was just a lot of quality fighters there. So who was actually coaching you? So my cousin was a coach down at the girls, Granville Williams. You may remember him. He was coach there for 30 odd years. But he was more of an amateur coach along with Mike Burton. But who was actually your coach into the pros?
John Sims and Don Davis, the 2 older guys.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 older guys. You'll probably see John. Yeah, John.
No, I know John. Yeah. John with the flat cap.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
That's how I know him. John with the flat cap. Yeah, he's been there as long as that gym's been.
As long as the gym's been open, really. Yeah, from the beginning.
And Don Davis has got his own gym now, hasn't he?
Yes. So his son's running the gym. His son's running the gym under his dad's name. So it's the Don Davis Academy, but his son Richard Davis is the one that's running it. So Don will spend more of his time there these days.
Yeah, I remember it. Oh my God, that's a blast from the past. Because we're showing our age here, Rakeem. Because I remember these guys.
They've
been around, legends.
They've been around for half a century. I think they said they've been in boxing themselves half a century each, from their time in Jamaica to the UK. So you're going way back to the 70s, 80s time they've been around in boxing. So yeah, they've been around. They've seen a few
Yeah,
things.
yeah, both legends of the sport at the grassroots level.
Mm.
So let's talk us through your amateur career then. So how many amateur fights did you have?
I had 40 amateur fights.
Ooh.
40 amateur fights. 128 of them, of course,
40.
boxed in the Class A's, the Class B's, the ABAs.
Brilliant.
Yeah, done the general circuit, done the general stuff.
Yeah. Wow, 40, I didn't realise you had that many. And that was before McGrail's?
Yeah, that was all.
You know,
That was all before Miguel's. That was all at Rose Hill.
oh, wow. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, brilliant. And then you turned pro. You turned pro and you fought it was Johnny Greaves in a 4-rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember your pro debut? You won that unanimous, won every round.
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember the pro debut well? Everyone always says that's the fight that everyone always remembers, your first pro fight. Do you remember it well?
Yeah, I remember.
Were you nervous?
No, not too nervous, because of course in your head you know it's meant to be, as long as you do what you've trained to do, it should be a routine. You should pick up the 4 rounds. It's going to be hard to stop him, but yeah, it's kind of breaking into the new scene of everything. Yeah. I just remember, of course, you got people coming to see you. It's quite busy. It's a different kind of event. It's more, there's more people coming to this event. You probably got like 1,000 people coming to the event to come watch you box. Yeah. Which you didn't have any amateurs before. Friends, family. They put your face on a poster. They do interviews with you, of course, before the fight happens. So it's different from the amateurs. But yeah, I remember it. Yeah. I remember just expecting. It kind of went out. It kind of happened how I expected it to happen. It kind of all just went to plan. It was no massive surprise, but yeah, it was good to get it over and done with, and it's a good memory. First professional fight. See yourself on Box Rec. Seeing the highlights.
Brilliant. Yeah. Did the fight go to plan?
Well, I won, so yeah. It went to plan as much as it could have went to plan, really and truly.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's good. But it's a lucky win, yeah. It's got to plan, I suppose. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. But you won every round as well in that fight, and then you went on a superb run of victories. I think it was about a 9-fight winning streak, which in the pros is superb. And you started gathering some really good momentum. And then you lost in a very close split. Can you just tell us a little bit about that defeat? I can't think who it was. Was it Ivan
Nejic. What happened with that was just getting something wrong before the day, getting one thing wrong before the day. Of course, you're always looking to improve on your last performance. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. So there's something that I changed in my plan, in my training, my build-up, which I got wrong, and of course corrected it. And the fight after that went back to winning ways. So yeah. Sometimes changing plan doesn't always work out, and that was an example of that.
What was that? What was that change?
What was the change? It was a simple thing. It was diet. It was like my diet that I changed. Yeah. Where I reduced...
The weight. It sounds like a weight. No. It wasn't a weight.
The reason why I don't really go into this is because I take my wins like I take my losses. I don't want to sit here and make up excuses or give reasons why. Yeah, that's why I've never really gone into this reason why I did that. So no, it wasn't a weight cut. It wasn't being drained. It wasn't anything to do with that. It was just replacing and balancing proteins. I just didn't have enough protein in the build up towards that fight as I did in the previous fights. Because I changed my diet. I kind of went to try vegan. I tried to go into a vegan diet. Right. You have more greens, you have more vegetables than anything. But of course, when you do that, you cut out your chickens, your proteins, your amino acids, and that. So when the fight came, as energetic as I was, the strength wasn't there that I didn't have beforehand. So when I went into the ring and as the rounds went on, I didn't have the power as I usually have, and that ended up costing me. So nothing to do with the weight cut, nothing to do with being drained. But like I said, I don't really go into that too much with people because
you don't.
When you win, it's all great. When you lose, it's excuses. So I don't go.
No, I respect that. I absolutely respect that. Are you kind of regretting that you made those changes though? Because you've gone on a 9-fight win streak, then you make a change and you suffer a defeat from it. Is that something that sits with you, or
of course at the time, of course it is something you regret. You think, oh man, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But you know what? You live and learn. I'd rather it happened in that fight than another fight. So for example, the next fight that I had after that was for an area championship. So I'd rather I made that mistake in that fight than making it in the championship fight where it was a massive one. And then in my next fight, which was about 4 months later, I won it in 4 rounds against an undefeated opponent. So yeah.
Yeah, you learn from your mistake, like you said, and yeah, the next fight you had, it was Ahmed,
Ahmed.
wasn't it? Ahmed for the southern area,
Mm-hmm.
and you put the guy down, didn't you? Round
I think I
one,
put it on four times. I put him on 4 times.
twice in the fourth. Was it 4 times? Was it?
It was twice in the first,
Twice in
once in the second,
Twice in the first, twice in the fourth, I think.
twice in the first, once in the second, twice in the fourth.
Oh, blimmin' hell. Oh,
Yeah.
really? So you moved down 5 times?
Yeah, 5 times.
Yeah, so that would have been that chicken then.
Yeah, like I said, after that fight, after the loss, I changed my diet back to what it was before.
Yeah.
And I over amplified on the protein and stuff to make sure I was getting more than enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the tweak. That was the tweak. But like I said, I don't sit there and go into it too much because you take your wins, you take your losses. It sounds like excuses. Okay, I got it wrong on that day. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. At least you made the mistake and you've corrected it, and then probably one of your career best performances. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, wasn't it? And you won a southern area. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really good to hear that. The Tommy Coyle fight. Now I remember watching that fight. What's your recollection of that fight? I mean, it was a huge fight at the time. Tommy Coyle was a really recognised fighter, wasn't he, at the time? I think it was on Sky Sports, wasn't it? It was on Sky Sports, and he'd fought like some good operators, hadn't he? Tyrone Nurse, Luke Campbell, Michael Katsidis, who was an absolute Aussie warrior. He had a proper CV of. He had some animals on his CV. Did that change your approach in that fight, or what's your recollection of that fight? Did you just go with the same?
Like I said, again, with fights, I don't like to make up excuses for losses. Or you win, it's great. You lose, people make excuses. You didn't go right on the day. Of course, there would have been things looking back now I would have probably done differently. I would have probably pressed him more after the first round. I would have probably been out more aggressive. I should have probably not been as cautious as I was going into the second round as I was in the second round. But actually, after the first, one of the interesting things about the fight is after the first round, he actually broke his eye socket. He fractured his cheekbone.
Oh, did he?
After the first round, he fractured his cheekbone. Yeah, if you look up on his Instagram, if you look up on the reports,
I didn't know that. I watched the fight live. Because
after that fight, he was inactive for a year because he had either his cheekbone was broken or something in the side of his face was broken after the first round.
Yeah.
But of course, in the hits of the moment, I was not aware of that. So I think the first round, I pressed him. That's when he must have got the break in his facial bone somewhere. But then the second round, I sat off, I eased off, and that's when it turned into his favor. So again, something that you live and learn. You take your wins, you take your losses, but when you lose, you got to kind of learn what you lost from it. And that was it. I just didn't press him as I should have.
You took a bit of criticism in that fight. I mean, it was a big fight. He had a lot of experience. You took a bit of criticism from the Sky commentary about your hands being low and your chin being high. Was that just the way you boxed and you just relied on your reflexes? Was it something that you were conscious of and just a habit that you just had?
I was conscious of it, but like I said before, when it works, when you win and it works, everyone prays for you. When you don't win, you then get knocked for it. Yeah, that's how I always kind of thought. I always kind of thought of a bit of an unorthodox approach.
Yeah,
hands might have been down, chin might have been up a bit. From the 40 amateur fights to the 14 professional fights, that's kind of what's got me to where it's got me. And I understand that there's faults in it.
Yeah.
But when you work it effectively and you make it work for you, that's kind of your edge and what makes it hard to kind of get around you.
Yeah.
And like I said, in the first round, I done the damage that I needed done. I just didn't fast forward with it. I just didn't press it. So that's what kind of went wrong with it. But again, you move on from it.
I know, but it's a lovely style, like your style was really fluid on the eye and it was really enjoyable. Because I don't like any gym you go into, and this, any boxing gym you go into, you hear hands up. Like, it don't matter if there's people like been boxing 20 years, it'll be like hands up. Like, you're hearing that all the time being called, aren't you? Hands up. Yeah, keep your hands up. You're hearing it. But, it's a bit of American style a little bit with a low left hand that you had. Some great fighters had that style, like Tommy Hearns and God, it's like
hands low works. it's one of those things. Everyone wants to be the fighter with their hands low, and for some fighters it works. For some fighters it doesn't work. For some fighters it works sometimes, but not all the times. It's just, I think it really just comes down to your reflexes and how just fast you are and how quick you can move your body.
Yeah.
If you are not massively fast, then having your hands low or having a low guard probably wouldn't be helpful.
Yeah.
But if you're fast enough to get away with it, or if you think you know how to counter people throwing punches at you, then you can go for it. But like I said, every fight is going to be different.
Yeah.
Every fight is going to have different reaction times, speeds, hand sizes to move out of the way. So it just depends on you. Like I said, I've gotten to where I was from 40 amateur fights, 12 professional fights.
Exactly.
To be able to be comfortable using it.
6 knockouts as well, which is brilliant. Seeing like a lot of your fights were shorter length fights to start off with. 6 KOs is absolutely, like, you did really well, you know. Why did you stop so early? Like, it felt like you had more in you, and I don't know if I'm completely wrong here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like you stopped quite early. I think you won your last couple.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you stopped? Like 30, like were you earlier than that?
My last fight was when I was 27.
Yeah, why did you stop so early?
Boxing takes up a lot of time. Boxing is a full-time commitment, takes up a lot of time, especially if you're not getting offered to fight on TV, or especially when you're not getting offered to fight for decent money every time around. You're selling tickets, you're running around, you're training your bags in the job, you're paying bills, you're pretty much putting everything that you've got into just that one sport. And it's like, I want to do other stuff. I went to university before I started.
27 when you stopped. Sorry, I thought you was about 30. Sorry, you're 27. That's even earlier than I anticipated. Wow, yeah, you just life took over.
Before I went to university. Before that, I was traveling around Europe. I just went to other stuff in life. Boxing wasn't always the end goal. Boxing wasn't everything that I'd always had.
Yeah.
It was just something there at the time. As much as I enjoy it, and I still enjoy it now, there's just other stuff that my mind was occupied with and I wanted to do. So when the time came to kind of move on, it's time to move on.
Yeah, and the camps take it out of you. That's what you said initially. Like the training, the camps, the fights are great fun. The training and the full-time commitment and the dieting.
That's not even really the hardest thing about it, because I've always enjoyed training, bettering yourself, going to the next level. That's always something I've enjoyed. It's not necessarily that the training camps take it out of you. For me anyway, or I wasn't at that point yet. It was just that what you're getting in return for it every time round pretty much isn't worth it, or doesn't make it worthwhile for you. As much, you can only go on passion for so long. When that passion starts to burn out, you're going to need something to kind of bring it all together and say this is worthwhile. Or
did you fall out of love with the sport for a while then?
I probably at some. I think even now I have points with boxing where I kind of just get disinterested in it. But ultimately, it's always going to be there. Maybe my interest in it might peak at certain points. Especially when you're doing it every day, and that's just literally all that revolves around your life. Yeah. And it's not really giving you back much in return. But please say that. I just burnt out from it.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about coaching? Like coaching fighters?
Like, but
at top level.
It's the same boat. Boxing is probably one of the few sports where, well, not one of the few sports, but it's one of the main sports where there's not much money when you start off. When you hit the big time, when you're Anthony Joshua, when you're Tyson Fury, Dylan White, Chisora, there's lots of money around. But until you get to that point, or halfway to that point, there's going to be a lot of groundwork and a lot of hours without getting paid or anything put into it. So training a fighter, spending countless hours a week training a fighter, getting them ready, preparing them, getting them ready for fights. You're probably not going to be getting a penny from them on the up and coming of it.
As I said, my cousin was Granville, and he trained at McGrail's 30 years, and I used to speak with him a lot. And also, you get the things of where you put trust into a kid, you really put time into them, and then they just bugger off. You know what I mean? And you must be like, oh my, And I've spoken with other coaches on here. I spoke with a really big coach the other week on here, Jonathan Haggerty's coach, and he said it's the worst when you see someone who's talented, who could go all the way, but they just haven't got the applications. It must be tough as a coach. It can be hard, isn't it? Like, you're often working first in the gym, last out, and you're not getting paid. Yeah. And you put all your effort in, aren't you? Yeah.
You put all your time, effort, emotion into it, and then the kid runs off. You're not committed. Yes, it's a lot. So coaching is, so right now I do personal training. I do just everyday gym clients. I don't mind having one or two boxing projects that I work with, or one or two people that I work with in boxing,
Yeah.
and I can see how far they go. But I wouldn't make it my main full priority, as into this is the only person that I'm training.
Yeah.
Unless, let's say, from the onset they got put on with a TV contract of some sort to box on televised shows and get paid thousands from the onset, then okay, I'll make the exception for that. But taking it from grassroots level, listen, you're a brilliant, you're a good person if you're willing to do that. Like your cousin Granville, of course, rest in peace to him. He was willing to do that for 30 years at Miguel's. I remember seeing him there all the time.
Yeah, mate,
when I started there,
he was always there. Yeah, when he first passed away, and the first few times I went there, I used to well up when I'd go through the door because it was so weird not seeing him just leaning on the ropes. You know, like he just sit always in that same spot, just leaning. And it really got to me the first few times. I found it really difficult to even go there because he's always there. Like he's been there for years. Like literally part of the furniture. And you know, there's no belts for these guys. There's no like accolades for the coaches at all either. One thing did want to ask you, well, two things I want to ask you quickly. One is about influencer boxing. Now you're a boxing purist like myself. You love the sport like myself. How does it sit with you that someone who's never fought before, who's got a blue tick and loads of followers, can jump in and go main event on a show, and you've got a hard-working amateur, brilliant fighter in the gym, not getting paid, no recognition at all? How does that sit with you, with the influencer boxing, that you know that they can just
different? It's a different field altogether. The people that watch influencer boxing aren't going to watch a fight at York Hall aren't going to watch a card at York Hall for professional fighters. The people that watch the influencer boxing, they're watching KSI because they like KSI. They're watching Slim or Salt Papi because they like Slim or Salt Papi individually. It's not necessarily because they like boxing and they're being taken away from the boxing audience. No, they're watching those people because they're their fans and they're going to watch them no matter what they do. They could be playing cricket, tennis, golf.
Is it good for boxing?
Is it good for boxing? It's not bad for boxing. I don't think it's bad for boxing. Maybe the only thing it could do is maybe lessen the potency of what boxing is meant to be. But ultimately, like I said, these people are never going to watch boxing in the first place. So I would personally, I wouldn't think so to myself. When I first came across it, I thought, oh no, this is going to ruin boxing's name. But if we dig really deeper into it, boxing ruined its name enough without influencing boxing. So yeah, a couple of kids.
But does it bother you, like, if you see like I don't know, like a couple of these misfits fighters, and you could probably take like 2 or 3 of them out in one night, and these guys are getting paid a career like your whole career per person a night type thing. Again, I'm not saying exactly that, but you know what I mean. Like some people really it grates them. I've got used to it. I think as a fight fan now, I realise if you've got followers and you can sell tickets, you can get on any platform.
It does, but as I said, they stay in their bubble, they stay in their lane, they all stay within their own influence of boxing. They don't come over to professional boxing, they don't come over to real boxers. They kind of just stick to what they are and they don't move from there, which is kind of fine, because if you start coming over to the only time it gets annoying is when you get, for example, influencer boxers trying to pick on professional fighters, but they wouldn't do that because they know ultimately what would happen. The only time they do it is when it's a world champion who, oh, let me call up Canelo because I'm going to get paid a lot of money to get knocked out. But other than that, it's too pass.
My next and final question actually was about the Jake Paul calling out Mike Tyson. And not calling out, that fight has been announced. And for us boxing purists, I think quite a lot of us are sad to see Iron Mike on the Jake Paul payroll. Has he got a chance in that fight, or is he just there to get beaten up?
He's just there to get paid. We all know what it is. Mike's 59 years old. The training footage they're using of him has all been cut up to a second or 2 seconds per clip or image just to show him in a good form.
On pads that don't hit back.
We've seen him with walking sticks. We've seen him with walking sticks. We've seen him smoking weed. We've seen him doing all sorts. He's 59 years old as well. Like, he's there.
I mean, listen. Yeah, let's be honest. He was getting beaten up by Brian McBride 20 plus years ago. You know, the footage we're seeing is pads, no sparring.
Yeah.
I feel for him, you know. How does that sit with you, that fight? Will you watch it?
I probably will. The thing is, we will see and slate it, but
We'll
watch it. We'll
We
see it.
will, won't
The thing
we?
is, even if you don't want to watch it, you're gonna see it on Instagram anyway the next
We're
day
gonna
or
watch
Twitter the next day.
it, aren't we? Yeah, because we're
So
fans. We will watch it.
it's
We
gonna
will
be.
watch it.
We're gonna be showing to it either way. But
Yeah.
would I choose for it to happen? No, I would never not choose for it to happen. But ultimately,
No.
he's getting paid. That's why he's doing it. He's getting paid a lot of money,
Yeah.
and it's his retirement fund. So yeah.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you got to remember your job description when you were fighting is actually a prize fighter.
Mhm.
So you can't knock someone for going for the prizes. You know, that's your job. That's your job description, prize fighter.
The money that is being offered now for fights like Tyson and Jake Paul will probably be more than what he was getting for the last few fights of his career against
Absolutely, yeah.
actual like the Danny Williamses, the
Brian McBride, all those ones at the end.
Yeah, those ones. Those guys, Julius Francis when he came to London that time.
Yeah.
All those fights, despite being probably genuinely top 20 fighters, this fight with Jake Paul is probably going to make him more money than all of them put together. So
absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely,
yeah. Yes, it's still saddening though, because you just don't think he's got a chance, and anyone who's thinking he has, really, they've kind of been fooled by like the pads, like you've just mentioned, you know. So can you? Look, I'm conscious of your time, and I'm really grateful that you came on today and just had a quick chat with us. What are you up to now? I mean, I know a bit about what you're up to now, but talking to the fight fans, what are you up to now? You're doing a bit of presenting. What's your sort of plans now after boxing?
just mostly personal training, working in the gym, doing some commentary stuff, doing some interview stuff, doing ring announcing for boxing shows. So of course, like the next Miguel show on the 30th of March.
Yeah, I've been to a few of them. I've seen you at a couple of them actually. I've been to a few.
So I'll be
I've
doing
missed the
that.
last couple. Yeah,
So, but
I
yeah,
do a
just
bit of commentary as well.
bits and pieces around boxing.
Yeah,
Training, personal training, bits and pieces around boxing, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I've been keeping myself busy with the last couple of years now. So yeah, not involved in not doing boxing, but still involved in boxing, still around boxing, and doing bits and pieces here and there.
Are you still training yourself?
Nah, I don't train myself. I don't train. I've left that behind. Left that far behind.
When was the last time you sparred? Can you even remember?
I used to do this community thing in central London. Let's say the last time was probably about 2022 or
Like a couple of years ago. Yeah.
So last year, yeah, say 2022, yeah, 2022, yeah, 2022. 2022
Yeah.
was the last time I sparred.
Thing is, right, you'll still be handy though, right? Because you don't forget how to fight. It's like riding a bike. You don't forget how to fight. But it's like if someone says to you jump on a bike and do the London to Brighton, then suddenly you're in a bit of trouble. You know what I mean? Like that fight fitness is completely different to like if you jumped in the ring now, you'd be able to handle yourself. I'm pretty sure of that. But if you had to go and do like 15 rounds or 10 rounds, you'd be blown out your ass, wouldn't you? That's the difference, isn't it?
I can do the basics. I can probably get through a few early rounds, but yeah, any long round fights, I wouldn't even put myself.
Yeah, that fitness thing is a different. That fight fitness thing is a different gravy, isn't it? You know, if you're not doing your runs, basically, once you stop doing your runs and the diet goes, like you just you can't really keep going, keep with someone who's like training.
No, I agree.
But yeah, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and your journey's been absolutely sensational. And so I've been really pleased. I've been wanting to get you on for a long time, and I hope I can see you I'm not going to make this next McGraw show, which is a bit upsetting because I'm commentating myself on the same night. But usually I'm always there. If I'm free, I'm there. So listen, but thank you so much for coming on. I wish you all the best of luck with all your personal training and your presenter work yourself moving forward. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much, man. All the best to you. Keep doing your thing. Keep getting around, and yeah,
thanks.
We'll see each
other
at some point.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I've seen you jump on a few of the lives, and I appreciate your support. And I know we've sort of spoken offline, and I appreciate your support and coming on in the first place as well. So thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, and wish you all the best.
Thanks, man. Have a good night, and we'll see each other soon.
Take care, mate.